These are the two smelters, and I know you're mostly concerned about the smelters here in western Kentucky. And we do have the two. One of them is in Sebree, which actually began operating in 1973, and it has an annual production of 205,000 tons of metal. We were initially 196,000 tons, but just within the last 3 years, prior to Century buying the Sebree smelter last year, we were at 196, but we've increased that by adding different equipment. We call it an amperage increase project. And we've increased amperage, and therefore we're able to put more metal out into the public. Hawesville, on the right-hand side, is 250,000 tons, and it was built and operated just a few years before Sebree. So it's just a few years old, and it creates 250,000 tons of aluminum annually. Now, a lot of that goes to next door to Southwire, but its primary product is pure aluminum. The purity, it's some of the best aluminum made in the United States, and a lot of that aluminum goes for military use. There's a number of military vehicles that use Hawesville's aluminum. And on the Sebree side, when we talk about the primary product, we make sal, which looks like great big tables, kind of, you know. But our primary product is aluminum billet. Just imagine about a 20-foot telephone pole made of aluminum. And that's what we make. We make it different diameters. We sell it to extruders, a lot of them in Kentucky, but in the Midwest. And what they do is they take it, just think of it, a tube of toothpaste. They warm it up and they squeeze it into whatever product they're going to make, such as ladders. And they'll also make a number of construction parts, windows, seal, or aluminum windows. So that's what they do at Sebree. So you can go to the next one. Just to give you an idea, the best part about what you're seeing now is that because Century Aluminum now has, well, even before they owned Sebree, Kentucky has been the largest primary aluminum producer in the United States. It's something to be very proud of. And now with Century owning Sebree, that means Century Aluminum creates the most in one state. All right, but that doesn't mean, Alcoa's got more capacity, but as far as Kentucky, we're number one in Kentucky. And we feel that's a signature industry. As a matter of fact, we worked with the state government a few years ago about getting aluminum better known as a signature industry. What you'll see here is some of the other states and what they produce. Washington has 371,000 metric tons. Indiana, 270, a lot of that obviously comes from the Warren operation. Missouri has 264. I'll talk about those guys in just a minute because that goes with Noranda aluminum. New York, Messina, West, they produce about 255,000. Ohio has 228. I'll talk about that later. They're closed now, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But they're now closed. That's the reason it's a little lighter. So we've lost another smelter in the United States. And it is because of the price of electricity. And then South Carolina, we are part owners with the Alcoa on the Mount Holly facility, and they had 228,000 tons of metal as well. We create enough aluminum in 1 year to make enough beverage cans to stretch from the earth to the moon 9 times. Now we don't make aluminum cans, but if we did, that's how many times it would stretch the moon and back. So that's a lot of aluminum that we've made. I can tell you that both plants have probably made together 25 to 30 billion pounds of aluminum over the period of the last 40 years. One of the greatest aspects of our two plants, and while Hawesville sells a lot of its metal right next door to Southwire, the best part about our aluminum smelter is that it's located right in the heart of the Midwest. And I don't know if you can see here very well, but we're within 390 miles of Atlanta, Chicago, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Indianapolis. And this area, I want to say it's more like 40 or 50% of the population is situated in this whole area. So, a lot of our products that come from the Sebree department are within this radius. I'll let Karen Ms. Barkley.
Okay, what I want to talk a little bit about is our employees, and the two facilities together have about 1,200 employees. And what you'll see on this graph is the counties they come from. All of the GRADD areas represented at both of our facilities together. Actually, 383 live in Davis County, 236 Hancock County, 154 in Henderson County, 70 in Webster, 60 in Brackenridge, and then the other counties together make up about 124 of our employees, and we have 163 who live in Indiana. We have an annual pay and benefits of about $90,000 per person, with our total wages of $72,960,643. So we have a pretty good sized payroll between the two facilities. It's two facilities that this area needs to keep and maintain here.
When we talk about regional purchasing power, all this information, by the way, was collected through a report that we had commissioned by a professor of economics from the University of Kentucky. So we didn't do this ourselves; he did it for us. So just to give you an idea of regional purchasing power, and this goes back to the importance of the smelters for this area. About $130 million we pay in purchases in this area. That doesn't include the amount of electricity. That's just regional purchasing power. Lost jobs in the region. If we were to go away, if the two smelters were to go away, it would be about 5,000 jobs, direct and indirect. And that's a lot of jobs, a lot of a big shock to a community, which is what they're facing in Ohio now, where Ormet is closed. Lost annual payroll in the area, that would equate to about $170 million, $175 million. And to the Kentucky governments and local governments, it's about $12 million. So, the smelters do their part on the Western Kentucky economy. And so, our hope is that we can continue making aluminum, and we can continue doing that in Kentucky. But you can go to the next slide. But what you're seeing here is this is actually a map that I put together where the smelters were. There were like 23 smelters back in 1990, and the red ones you can see are now closed, and the green ones are the ones that are open. But not all of them are operating at full capacity, but they're open, and we're down to 8 now. There's one question mark, and this is one I was going to tell you, is Noranda in Missouri. But you can see some of these others that have closed down. Again, almost every one of these, if not all of them, have been because of power, the lack of electricity. So we're struggling. When you see us struggle for power, price decreases, and to stay open, that's why. It's because otherwise, if you close a smelter, if we were to close our smelter, it would cost about $200 million, $300 million to get it going again. Because once they stop, they've been operating 24 hours for 40 years. Once they stop, that metal freezes, and it takes millions of dollars, thousands of hours to be able to get that metal out of the pots and eventually start back up. So it doesn't happen very often. That's the reason you probably won't see any new aluminum smelters built in the United States. The only thing you might see, if they get to stay open, is there might be a brownfield expansion. There might be a pot line added on to somewhere else. Sebree could add a pot line on it that had really a good low power base cost. So that's what's happening in the industry. So it's not pretty. You're going to find pretty soon that the price of aluminum is going to start increasing a little bit because some of these countries, some of the companies have started to cut back on production because China doesn't play by our rules. They have their own rules, their own environmental issues, which they produce and they continue to produce as much as they want. And it floods the market. It hurts. We want to stay in Kentucky. We've been here for 40 years. A lot of you all in here have done a lot for our smelters. A lot of it. And we appreciate that, what you've done. As a matter of fact, the Sebree facility recently had a $37 million expansion project for its vape furnace. We had to have that to keep operating. We had amperage increase. In all, we had $50 million come incentives come from or 15 million in incentives come from the state, this $50 million project that we did. And it's operating, it's going well, money was well spent. Dorsey, a lot of you in here really helped out us getting that incentive package. And, we're going to continue to do those things. And, I can't say enough how much we appreciate everybody's support. Because without your support, it would have been very difficult for us to continue operating. So, that's the last thing I want to say is thank you very much.